Today, we're here to talk about both Bryan and College Station. We're going to talk about 10 facts that differentiate Bryan from College Station and a few other details so that you can better decide which city works best for you. So let's get into it. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living in College Station and the surrounding area, then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications. My name's Jeff, along with Tara and David, we make up the Schellenberger team. Whether you're looking to find your forever home, buy an investment property, or find that second home, we're the team for you. Our information's in the description box below, so don't hesitate to reach out to us to start that conversation about getting you here to College Station and the surrounding area. We've helped people just like you find the right place at the right time, right here.
Right here.
So for many of you doing research on Bryan College Station, you may hear it in different terms or different words.
Right.
So you've got the city of Bryan, you've got the city of College Station. It's also part of the BCS area or BCS metropolitan area.
Often called just BCS.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a big debate. Like some people like to say College Station first, and it rubs some of the people in Bryan. So There's a debate over which city name should go first, but typically it's BCS.
Yeah. And you've also got Aggie Land due to Texas A&M University. And then you've got the whole area, which is called the Brazos Valley.
Yeah, Brazos Valley.
So you're going to hear us refer to different things in different videos, but it's mainly this region, the Brazos County area, Bryan College Station, BCS, Aggie Land. But today we're talking about the two specific cities of Bryan and College Station.
Yes, we are.
Let's get into it. So we're digging into facts, differentiate the two cities. You're gonna play Bryan today.
I live in College Station, but I have a heart for Bryan.
And I'm playing College Station. I as well live in College Station, and actually I've lived in both areas too.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's dig into it. Let's talk about the history of each city, kind of when it was founded, things like that.
Okay.
So you take Bryan since it came first.
All right, and I learned some new information myself. So Bryan is named after William Joel Bryan, and he is actually, or was, the nephew of Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin brought William Joel Bryan with him to this area in the 1820s.
Wow.
And so in 1855, William Joel Bryan, we just say WJB, there's a street named after him. He sold a 1 square mile tract of land to a railroad company in 1855. And so a couple of years after that, they named the, I'll say, township or whatever after him, and that's how Bryan got its name. It was founded, so that was like in 1859 when it was founded, and they named it after him, and then in 1871, it was actually incorporated.
Okay, yeah, and like I was saying, it's actually one of the oldest cities in the region, so if you think about the historic significance, things just kind of grew out from where Bryan was started.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you get into College Station, and way back when College Station was founded, it was pretty much just, well, it wasn't even a university, it was the college.
Like, was it a military school back then?
It was based on agriculture.
Mechanical.
It was all military.
Was all military,
Yeah, most of the professors, administrators, everybody lived up in Bryan.
Oh, I thought they lived on campus.
Well, you had campus housing, which we can get into talking about that. That was there on campus, but a lot of people were in Bryan too. So College Station was established later in 1938, largely due to the creation of Texas A&M. The reason it's called College Station is because that was the train stop for the train for the college. As
with many areas, I'm sure all over the country, the rail system is what was the catalyst for development. And we'll kind of talk about College Station and the university itself, where a lot of people nowadays, they come in off of Texas Avenue, and that's actually New Main. And it's coming down to the administration building. Yes.
But if you come in off of Wellborn, which runs right along the railroad tracks, That is Old Main. So College Station, its history is mainly tied to Texas A&M, established as an agriculture mechanical college. It was all military, all male at the time, late in the 19th century, and its growth has been accelerated mainly due to the university.
When did they admit women? Was it in the
1970s,
I
believe.
70s,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so we kind of talked about the two cities, when and how they were founded, but we didn't talk about kind of them really being twin cities. Or sister cities. I don't think there's an official name for it,
No.
but they butt right up against each other. In the maps video we showed earlier, I kind of talked about University Drive being one of the significant dividing lines. It's not the true dividing line, but you've got the university on the north end of College Station, you've got University Drive, Northgate, and then you get into Bryan. So
Right.
Bryan moves north, College Station moves south.
Yes. A lot of people don't know where the line is. Like
Right.
they just drive along Texas Avenue and then they're in Bryan at
Yeah.
some point. Like they don't know, they don't care, because in a local person's mind, it's kind of one and the same.
It all runs together. Yeah.
So I did read something that said that this neighborhood that I adore, called North Oakwood, used to live there, 2 different houses, loved it. Anyway, North Oakwood, it decided to incorporate with Bryan, I assume in 1938, because that is what created that boundary between the two cities, was that neighborhood making the decision to incorporate with Bryan. That's how you got the boundary lines between the two cities.
And we were talking about in the early years, professors and administrators either living in Bryan or on campus. And back in the 40s, when the college was really growing, they kind of kicked everyone off campus to make
For the
room
housing.
for the housing, to make room for the students and for the growth of the college. And they moved a lot of those homes that were on campus to different neighborhoods. We're actually sitting in one of the homes.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if this is one of those houses.
Yeah, it's on the south side, 2023 estimates. And it says Bryan has you're Bryan.
Yeah, that's okay. I was like, hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bryan's population is about 95,000, and that's the most updated information they have. Someone actually came and spoke to our office from the city of Bryan, so that's where I pulled a little bit of my information from. So 95,000 or more.
And College Station is slightly larger. You're talking around 120,000. And the debate is out on, are all of those permanent residents or some of those students? You have a fluctuation from during the school year to summertime and holidays and things like that of close to 70 to 80,000 people or students associated with the university. Plus you've got Glenn, who's another significant number. So these areas will swell up and down, and that will get into traffic.
You notice
like
the
that.
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, people are like, oh, the students are gone, or oh my gosh, the students are back in town. Traffic's crazy.
Right.
Restaurants live and die by that cycle. And I was going to say also about the population, the median age. So the median age, this is interesting, for College Station is a little over 22 years old. And for Bryan, it's a little over 30 years old.
Yeah.
And so you see that, and you feel it. I mean, when you live here a long time, I feel younger than my numeric age. And I think part of it is you're around young people a lot, and that energy. And you've talked about that before with this living in this neighborhood. So it kind of keeps you young.
It does. I've really enjoyed living here. Let's talk about land size, because you may think one's larger than the other, but they're really right around the same amount of land, where Bryan is...
It's a little bit bigger. I mean, Bryan's about 55 square miles.
Yeah.
And I would say Bryan is still growing. The city of Bryan strategically purchases land, and they have been doing that for a long time, planning for growth. And we can talk about this a little bit later, but it's starting to really pay off.
Yeah. And then College Station is between 50 and 55 square miles, but College Station is becoming a little more landlocked.
It is.
We'll have to see what that does with real estate pricing and land pricing and things like that, due to the fact that it's becoming landlocked. And when we say landlocked, it doesn't mean we're butting up against other cities or anything like that. But south of us, you've got the Navasota School District, who is almost hitting up with College Station School District now, and things like that.
It is. Yeah. There's a neighborhood in town that, depending on which side, it's a large neighborhood. What's the name? Milliken Reserve. So if you live on the side that you access from Highway 6, you're in the College Station School District. But if you live on the side that you access from Wellborn Road, you're in the Navasota School District.
Yeah, and we're talking about the role of Texas A&M University, where College Station is directly shaped by Texas A&M University. It's anchor institution. It's its largest employer, and the city's development is tied to the university growth, where Bryan is a little more independent.
Right. Historically, that has not been the case for Bryan. When you drive through Bryan, you feel like you are in a real traditional city. You will have older areas where the infrastructure is, aging a bit. Their path has been much more like a traditional, typical city. That is changing as well, which is very exciting because Rellis campus for Texas A&M is actually in Bryan. And so the city of Bryan and Texas A&M are developing and have been developing a much stronger relationship, and the industry that's being brought in that's tied to Texas A&M, a lot of that land is in Bryan.
Yeah, and actually even the health college is in Bryan.
Health Science Center.
Health Science Center is in Bryan.
Health Science Center.
Intermingles, but there are some differentiating. It's always been associated with the university. The university's always been the largest employer. Now you do have local businesses. You've got local restaurants, but also industry too. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit more about the economic focus of the two cities. Bryan is a little more diverse. College Station is, like we said before, predominantly driven by Texas A&M University. It includes education, it includes research, and the university's auxiliary services, as well as its sports, George Bush Library,
and I think of like the businesses that, so much retail in College Station, restaurants in College Station, lots of restaurants, and then all of your Aggie paraphernalia, all of those stores. So it is tied.
And with that, College Station does not really have downtown. So when you're talking about these stores and things like that, more of them are the chains and the big box stores.
So, economically, three of the main economic drivers, and these three, like about 25%, 22%, 21%, but the three of them together make up about 70%, is healthcare industry. St. Joseph's Hospital, it's actually in College Station now as well, but their primary location's in Bryan. And then food production, so Sanderson Farms, and I'm sure there are other large ones that I don't even know about that are in the area. Food production, healthcare, and education. Education is another big employer in Bryan.
We kind of dug into the cultural landscape. College Station is more universities focused culture, focus on student events, sports, the academics. There is culture.
There is.
I
have a bone to pick with College Station about this a little bit. So I come from the restaurant industry, as you know, and this is a city level decision. The city of Bryan, they have a historical committee that really protects historical homes and buildings, right? And they're strict. You can't change the color of a house sometimes. They're very, very strict. College Station, because they are so tied to A&M and they are so focused on meeting those needs, Northgate was where they had some historical buildings and an opportunity to preserve some of that. That they decided the space would be better spent building housing for students. So for example, there is a restaurant called Cafe Excel. It used to be housed in the original City Hall. And right across the street from that City Hall was the jail. And that was, it was many different restaurants, right? Those are really cool places.
Yeah,
well,
cool
they
buildings.
are gone, and now it is residential housing, or, you know.
It's almost like a little mini downtown.
It is. The whole Northgate area has
tall buildings.
Yes, they are just building the student housing.
You've got Opus, which brings in a lot of great performing arts.
Yes.
Into Rudder Auditorium at College Station. You've got a symphony orchestra. You've got local theater groups.
You've got the Queen Theater. You've got the
LaSalle Hotel.
The LaSalle Hotel. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are lots of buildings that have been repurposed.
Yep.
And it is much more culturally diverse, just as far as like who lives in Bryan as well. I mean, like the population, I think, is 60-something% white, 40 or in the 30 percentile with Hispanic population, and then African Americans like close to, I don't want to say close to 20, because I'm like 110%, but but it's pretty diverse.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how the two cities differentiate. They are actually two different city governments. You have mayors for each city, but you also have two independent school districts. Each independent school district kind of has its own focus, I guess you would say.
Bryan is known for having a lot of services for kiddos with special needs or special talents. I think they have a particular program for kids that are gifted and talented. You know, I know that's like an old terminology to use. Right. They also have the International Baccalaureate program at Bryan High. College Station doesn't have the IB program, but I know that just in general, it's very challenging because a lot of those students are professors' kids. There's a school that's modeled after the university model where they go 2 or 3 days a week and then they are at home the other 2 days a week. They have a charter school. College Station there's a charter school in College Station. I think there's one in Bryan also. And then, like you said, the private school options.
Yeah, and a lot of kids these days are starting to get college credits
Yes.
while still in high school.
Yeah, they'll co-enroll at Blinn and take classes at Blinn and their high school.
Yeah.
And that's something that's, I don't know how individualized it is, but I know certainly in the public schools you can do that.
So let's talk about property taxes. You know, we talked about two separate city governments. You've got Bryan, you've got College Station. With that, you've got different taxing rates and things like that. And one thing that surprised me a little was with Bryan, the combined property tax rate is a little higher than it is with College Station.
Yeah.
But I will say, when I moved from Bryan to College Station, my car insurance rates went up. So there are pluses and there are minuses.
And the perception is that taxes are lower in Bryan because houses cost a little bit less in Bryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Per square foot.
All right, so let's dig into the real estate market since we are realtors.
Yes, we are. That'd be good to talk about.
Right, that would be good. So as you can imagine, College Station real estate market is highly influenced by the university. There's a strong demand for student housing, but there's also demand for the faculty, for the staff. And that puts an emphasis on the needs of people who are either working or going to Texas A&M. At one point, I heard that over 50% of the housing in the College Station area is investment properties. So that's one factor to keep in mind when moving here. If you're looking to move here as a family, look in those neighborhoods, understand the neighborhood, because if you don't want to be in the middle of the action of a bunch of college students, maybe Bryan's a better place.
So something else to think about is the rents are high. So you don't have sticker shock. If you are not buying, but you're renting, the rents are high because of the student population.
Right.
And it's also hard to find short-term rentals. So when we've worked with people who are building or the timing didn't work out perfectly, they're in a bit of a pinch. I mean, we have to really do some work to find a place for them that's a short-term rental, and they end up paying quite a bit for it. So it's as an investor, fabulous place to invest in property because you will get high rents. Some people have done this as a retirement strategy. Other people just kind of naturally fall into it, like their kid comes here, so they buy a house because they run the numbers, and why not go ahead and buy the house and rent the rooms to roommates, and then they just keep that property or get into rental properties that way.
So let's get into Bryan.
Okay.
Bryan's a little more diverse when it comes to real estate, just due to the fact that it's a little more independent from the university focus.
It is, but because College Station is landlocked, you have a lot of local builders looking to Bryan now to build in Bryan. And so there was a comparison from January through October of this year. 653 permits were pulled for single family, they call them detached, so identified as a home, a single family residence. Just last year, 512. That's a huge difference just from 1 year comparison to this year. And so they were looking at January through October of last year, 2023, and then January through October of 2024. And you had that difference between 512 and 653. And these numbers are just continuing to grow. At some point, we'll be talking about a new development going into Bryan. Bryan has a downtown area, which they have in the revitalization process. They've built some of the cool downtown townhomes and apartments. You've got that area near downtown, 32nd, 31st Street, near Heritage Park, where you have some of the oldest homes in the area. I mean, I think the oldest standing house that someone can live in that's occupied is right across the street from the park. So you have true historical areas like that, all the way through new builds and everything in between. And then you have Miramont Country Club, which is the most expensive, exclusive area you could buy and build in.
In Bryan.
In Bryan, yes.
Yeah, for College Station, it's actually the south side area just below the campus.
Right.
Just south of the campus. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you've also got traditions. So you've got some large country club communities.
Yes.
Both
Traditions
Miramont
also, yes.
Traditions. And then we did a video on Pebble Creek in College Station. So
yeah,
lots of variety.
If you like today's video, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe. That really helps out with the algorithm to help us spread the word about Bryan College Station and help people learn more about the area.
So hope this has helped you some when it comes to looking to move to Bryan College Station area. Which city is best for you? And that really depends.
It just depends.
Yeah, there are a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
I think really anyone who moves here is attracted to the university and all of the activities, sports, things like that.
A lot of people, they graduated from A&M and they are coming back home. I mean, they are excited to be moving back to this area.
Yeah, and with that, a lot of the retirees and former students, they're migrating a little more towards the Bryan area because it's quieter. There's less of a student university focus with Bryan. With College Station, it's a little more of the younger and more vibrant when it comes to younger families, when it comes to students.
It offers more diversity, more texture. Like we've mentioned several times, you have the downtown Bryan area.
Yeah.
You have newer areas. Right. Whereas College Station is less diverse. Like there's no downtown, there's not really a historical area. And they've created the Midtown. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what's called Midtown Park? Or no, that's the one in Bryan.
They're
on Midtown.
Yeah, it's Midtown. And they're trying to make that more of a
city center
square area, but there's really no real
There's
downtown.
no city center for College Station.
No, it's the university.
Yes, it is the university. It is the university.
Right. There is a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities when it comes to both these cities. And we have had people who have lived in one city and moved to the other and vice versa. We have people who thought they were going to move to one city and they ended up in the other city. And we can navigate you through the process. We can help you make
the pros and cons of either choice.
Yeah. So reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. And we've helped people just like you find the right place at the right time.
Right here.
Right here.